I'm Dan, and this is Dan Explains. If you're watching this video the day it's released, it's Holy Week, specifically Good Friday, which is one of the most important days in the Christian calendar. And just to appease the nitpickers, I'm talking about the Holy Week in the Western Church. If you're Orthodox, this is one of those odd years where your Holy Week is 5 weeks after the Western Holy Week. Then again, you may be Orthodox and watching this video 5 weeks from now, in which case it is Holy Week for you. However, the confusion between the Eastern and Western Holy Weeks doesn't matter for the subject of this video, which is, when was the first Good Friday? That is, what was the day Jesus was actually crucified on? Do we even know the date? Let me explain. I'm in Jerusalem to investigate the date of Jesus' crucifixion. What? Okay, I'm not. That's just a green screen because I have big responsibilities at home and a tiny budget. Actually, no budget. But the good news is we don't have to travel there to look at the evidence. Besides, if I went running around the Holy Land with a pickaxe and a shovel trying to dig around the holy sites for new evidence, I think the only thing I'd find is what the inside of an Israeli jail looks like. There may be 2 dates commemorated for Jesus' crucifixion today, but that's only because of the reforms done to the calendar by Pope Gregory XIII in the 1500s to correct for inaccuracies in the Julian Calendar, which we're building up over time. The Orthodox still follow the Julian Calendar for religious observances. I already covered the history of the changes between those 2 calendars in another video if you're interested in watching it after this one. However, the differences shrink as we go back, so they're not really going to play a role in dating Jesus' crucifixion. To find the date of Jesus' crucifixion, we need to find the date of Easter, since it's always the Friday preceding Easter. And theologians have burned a lot of midnight oil and brain cells trying to figure the date of Easter out. The modern date for Easter is always the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. To help avoid confusion, the early church decided the spring equinox always landed on the 21st of March. Hence why the Gregorian and Julian calendars now often have it landing not just on different days, but in different months, because the real equinox always happens at the same time, regardless of calendars. The issue, of course, is that the people who witnessed the first Easter followed the Hebrew calendar, not the Julian calendar. Well, I mean, besides the 2 Romans guarding the tomb, but which actually does help us a bit. Easter is closely associated with the Jewish celebration of Passover. Specifically, it occurs on the 3rd day after Passover, which starts on the 15th day of Nisan in the Hebrew calendar. We know Jesus was between 30 and 35 when he died, and he was probably born between 4 BC and 1 AD, and according to the biblical narrative, he was crucified on the day before the Jewish Sabbath, so on a Friday. So we can just use the Hebrew calendar to find the year that matches the date, correct? Not correct. Unfortunately, the Hebrew calendar is a lunar solar calendar, and has an intercalary month in an attempt to keep the sun and moon in sync. Today, like leap days in the Gregorian calendar, the leap month in the Hebrew calendar is added on a schedule. In Jesus' day, the system they used to add leap months wasn't exact. Usually the leap month would be added before the month of Nisan to ensure that the spring equinox always fell in the first half of Nisan. That is, unless the barley looked like it wasn't going to be ripe in time for Passover. Because, like I mentioned, the Passover was on the 15th of Nisan, and they needed the bread to celebrate Passover. However, you wouldn't expect that to happen unless the month of Nisan just happened to be particularly early that year. Lucky for us, unlike the ancient theologians, we can use simple calculators to check dates. At any rate, the Hebrew calendar was all over the place. If they had chosen an incorrect leap year, their Passover could have ended up pretty much anywhere. In fact, one of the big contentions regarding the date of Easter and the crucifixion is that the rules already mentioned for the Passover weren't always followed, and the date of Passover was sometimes celebrated before the spring equinox, which is one of the major reasons why the Christian method for calculating it was formulated. If we assume the ancient theologians knew something we didn't by insisting the date has to be after the equinox, we get a range of dates from the 25th of March in the year 31 to the 17th of April in the year 29. And because the Gospel writers didn't think to give us dates according to the Julian calendar, in addition to the Hebrew calendar, that is unfortunately about as accurate as we're able to get. So, when was the first Good Friday? The Friday before the first Sunday after the first full moon, after the spring equinox, between the years 27 and 35. Maybe. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please press the like button. Subscribe to my channel and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon to get extra content and special perks. Link in the description. The more people support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.